All right, we are live. Welcome to a crypto market update here on February 21st of 2020. We already talked about BTC in a previous YouTube live, so we're not going to really discuss BTC. We're kind of just broken above a mid-range minor level of resistance, held it for a support a few times, right above a major key level of demand. So we're looking a little bit more bullish. We do have a feeler trade on BTC here. The majority of the profits will probably be taken right here at a 2.8-ish risk reward, which is not a bad situation to be in. But overall, we are being a little bit more cautious. I think Ethereum looks pretty good in terms of the potential here. Just looking at risk reward, NEO looks like a good opportunity. XRP as well if it holds, because we got our second injection of buy volume, and Atom will be going over a little bit, as well as Dash. So that's kind of the overview of what we're going to be going over today. Not really going to go over anything else. Hey, what's up, Colton? How's it going? So yeah, that's basically it for the day. So we're going to start off with Link, XRP, Ethereum, and then we'll move on to Cosmos, and then probably end it off with NEO. So let's start off with Link here. We were talking about this squeeze in price. Let's just you could probably see it, honestly. I can see it pretty clearly, so I assume that you sort of can as well, about this squeeze. So what do we get in this squeeze here? We got the price to make lower highs and higher lows, getting the price closer to the apex, which would be right here. We see the higher lows right here and the lower highs all along here. So we're squeezing closer to the apex. The price has to make a decision. It chose to make a move towards the upside. It retested its previous resistance, bouncing off, which is good. And then that was the completion of the impulse move or the push move. And then now we're looking for the exhaustion or the pullback. So we got our move to the upside, breaking our key zone, holding on the 1 hour above it. That's great to see. And then we got our pullback. I did not enter this, by the way. It bounced basically at 1 or midnight. And I just was not awake. I was looking at the pullback a little bit here, but by the time I woke up, it was like 7 or like somewhere around here. So definitely a little late on an entry at this point here. We were looking at it. We talked about it. If you were awake at that time, that's great, but I personally was not. So we got a push, an exhaustion, coming back to a major zone of confluence where you got the horizontal zone and you got the descending zone come together into a nice little support, and you have the background higher lows that market structure creates a potential higher low here as well. So we got a low, a higher low, and a higher low. We got a high and a higher high. So we're now making structurally higher highs and higher lows, which is good to see. We do have a resistance at this zone here. We can see all along the chart. It's a pretty key zone, so we do have to pass that, but not going to put an entry on, but it's good to see. We got a major level of resistance at around 4.7, as we can see within this double top here. But overall, because Link has broken this major green demand zone, we're looking bullish. We're looking for longs. This wasn't as ideal, in my opinion, as a long here, but when it did bounce and then make that bullish engulfing candle, that really for me signified that there was bulls in the market. At this point in time, not really going to be looking to enter on Link here. Entrance would have been good there, but we didn't. And then now we're just kind of at a mid-range zone within the price action, kind of a mid-range zone right here. We see lots of resistance action back in early February, and then, or mid-February, I should say. And then this is going to be the supply zone. So we'll just make it red. And then not too red so we can't see anything, just a little bit red so we have an understanding of what's happening. Maybe a little bit lighter, like so. I kind of like the red. So we got a major supply zone at around $4.80 and a major demand zone at around $3.70. And we're kind of mid-range around the zone, so I don't really ideally want to enter here. I'd ideally like to enter closer to the demand zone where we can long, and our first take profit will be here. And then if it goes up higher, or if we're going to go back up to the resistance, that could be a potential play. As of right now, we don't see anything, but like let's say, for example, this ascending support holds and it has a couple more touches to validate it even more, and then we break it. This could be an ascending triangle, and that break could be a potential short, at least to the demand zone. So we'll see how the price action continues. We'll kind of see how it goes. We were looking for a potential entry there, but we were unable to capture it because we were asleep. So not the end of the world, not a big problem. There's a lot of opportunities in the market, so you can't really worry about the things that you miss. So that's Link. Now let's go on to XRP. Pretty similar price action here where we had a pretty significant drop the past few times, but we do see in the past history back in early February, we have a very, very solid support at around the 2685-ish range, 26 cent range-ish. That is our major demand zone. So now that we understand the overall structure of the major key demand area that we currently have, it does look like we could have a nice potential double bottom come in. Let's just talk about market structure on the 1 hour. Now we know that this area is a very, very strong level for buy pressure to be present. So we know that for a fact. We got our first move to the downside. We got our push up. This is our second pull. So we could see a double bottom. I don't exactly know, but we got a major resistance there at around the 29 cent range. So we already displayed that within the chart. And it looks like we're kind of creating our second bottom here. Talking about the more recent price action structure, we can see that initially the price was making lower highs. We can see lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. And then the price held a key level of a support initially right here, number 2, with lots of wicks protruding below the actual demand zone, but we don't see the candles close above it. And you see lots of demand zone coming here with decreasing sell volume, increasing buy volume. That's a shift in supply and demand from a shift in supply to now seeing a shift in demand, getting buy volume, picking the price up, which is good to see. And then what did we see? We broke the previous resistance or the previous high and have respected it once, and now we're respecting it twice for a new level of support, validating the previous resistance as a new level of support, also making structural higher highs and higher lows. So it's good to see. Overall, the market does look like it's shifting a little bit more towards the upside. Ethereum does look pretty good. I think I'm going to add a position on Ethereum if we get a couple candles to close here green or we get some indication. But as of right now, it's looking good. We are holding a nice level of demand zone. It looks like we could be turning, but other than the BTC position, going to be stick a little bit on the sidelines here, except XRP does look a little bit good. We'll talk about no supply and known demand zones, but this candle right here is a no supply zone. So there's currently a lack of supply and potentially could be an increase in demand. We see there's 3 candles decreasing volume, and then the candles here are dropping and dropping, but this candle doesn't drop below the previous support, and there's a lack of sell volume, so then the sellers seem less interested. And then the next candle after that is an increase more significant than the previous candle of buy volume, signifying that we could see more buyers come into the market. And this kind of gives me an indication that the shift is occurring from more sell side and less buy side to more buy side and less sell side. So let's see how the price action looks in the next couple hours, or if not, like the later half of the day. But doesn't look bad. Definitely, you got to be a little more cautious at these levels because they don't really have a perfect level of confluence, but the price action is showing signs of a little bit more of a bullish indication in my view. So now let's go to Ethereum. We did Link, we did XRP, and we'll do Ethereum, and I think we're going to stick it with that. EOS doesn't look too amazing. Tron doesn't look amazing. BNB doesn't look too amazing. So we'll just stick with Ethereum and go from there. So Ethereum has a little bit different of a market structure because we've got a very nice horizontal resistance right here. And it actually broke the recent high of the descending zone like we see on a lot of our alts. So it made a new structural high, like very, very clear, because this is a clear resistance, clear resistance, clear resistance, clear resistance, and we broke it, making a structural higher high, and then now we are holding it as a nice level of support. So overall, it looks pretty good. Quickly just looking at the volume, we see decreasing sell volume with some no supply zones, and then we see increasing volume right after that, showing that there is a less supply and more demand, which is bullish, obviously. And overall, that's basically the structure. We see some higher lows, higher lows. We broke a recent market structure higher high, which is bullish. And then if we're able to hold that nice higher low right here, then we could see a potential move up to here with a risk reward that's pretty darn favorable for us. So I'll look to see to potentially enter this right now. I'm not going to set the stop loss just below the previous low. First take profits are around there. Maybe we could set a double just to capture the full scope of the position there, but we'll see how it goes. I'm not going to enter just yet. We still have 7 minutes on this hourly candle, which does look all right, except we don't see a whole lot of buy volume coming in on this candle, which isn't ideal. I'd like to see more buy pressure than sell pressure, obviously, especially after a broken resistance like so. But yeah, I'll let you guys know if I do enter this. I'll see what the next candle brings up in terms of the volume. If we're able to get a little bit more volume, that would be great. But yeah, yeah, just looking at it for now. I think for now we're just going to stick with it. We also see on the larger time frames a little bit of higher lows there. So if we do eventually break this zone, if we do actually not hit this zone, that could be a potential short. But for now, we are just going to be patient, not try to enter too quickly or too prematurely. And we're going to try to really get the best opportunities here. Because playing within these consolidations is definitely a little bit tricky. If you have a major support or resistance like so, or support here, you have a lot more of a dependability. But if you're playing these mid-range zones, so definitely a lot harder to find that dependability you're looking for. So I try to stay kind of away from these zones. But if you have a nice continuation from a down move to an up move with breaking a major key zone within the price action zone, that could be a good possible entry. But for now, we're just going to be a little patient. We got 6 minutes left. Link looks all right. And not going to do a whole lot. Cosmos looks a little bit different from the previous alts that we talked about. On the 4 hour here, we do see it's respecting a nice descending zone. 1, 2, 3. It'd be really nice to see that last touch here. That would really confirm it, but we didn't. That's okay. And then we got to push up, and now we're getting a pullback with decreasing sell volume coming in and increasing buy volume. This looks really, really phenomenal. The only thing is I don't love the fact that we're just going sideways. So the high that we're kind of trying to hit is going to be like 530. So the risk reward isn't phenomenal. It's all right, but that's the zone we're going to try to hit because right now we're just going in a sideways consolidation. So basically we're going to try to go from mid-range zone to top zone, and that would be the outlook of the trade we'd want to have. So like let's say you put a stop loss just below that previous low, and then you have your first take profit maybe at that initial high there. And if you maybe waited for a little bit more confirmation, you'd have a risk reward of like 2.5, 3, somewhere around there. Yeah, somewhere around there is, I think, a good situation to find yourself in. You got a previous resistance there, so it's a little bit worrying, but looking at the volume, you did break, you're holding it twice, you see your first injection of buy volume come into the market, and you do see decreasing sell volume, you do see decreasing buy volume as well, but once you see kind of the no supply candle, once you see a very, very, very low supply of for sell pressure, kind of like we saw right here, you have a very, very, very low supply of sell pressure within kind of amidst the larger volume. That's kind of when you know that you should potentially be looking for potentially move to the upside. But we'll obviously get into that in a later video when we're going to really discuss no supply and no demand candles. So that is the chart for Atom. I don't really see something I love just yet. Just looking on the 15-minute chart to really, really understand the squeeze. This is the perfect squeeze that you're getting. So if we do get a break above this little resistance zone, that would be looking really, really phenomenal for us. And I'd be really looking to potentially enter at that zone because we have a confirmation of a break in the minor level of a resistance, and we're able to hold the larger descending support now for, again, another level of support. So it's great to see. So right now on the 15-minute chart, I think I'm going to leave it on the 1 hour chart, but I'm really going to be looking at this for a potential opportunity because we see a squeeze. This is a very, very solid pattern that we're very comfortable trading, where we have a descending zone and then it pushes up and then it forms like a descending wedge closer to the apex, and then we get to move towards the upside. That's kind of what I'd be looking for. Atom's a good opportunity. So Dash, yeah, we'll go over it. So on Dash, we see that we do have a pretty significant price range right here, which is a pretty important range, and then the price broke above it with very, very strong bullish volume. We do see the bears losing confidence, seeing less volume come into the market. And we only have 2 minutes left on this doji here, so that is a pretty strong indication that sellers don't really have control, don't really have confidence. And if we are able to get this candle to close bullish, that would be a really good possible opportunity for an entry long. And then let's just get rid of these. Your first take profit is probably going to be somewhere around here. That's probably a risk reward of like 2.5, 3, 2.75, something like that. But another opportunity, we'd like to see a little bit more confirmation, but if we are able to get the support kind of around there, and then the first level take profit, 2.4, let's make it a little bit higher, just at 2.5, 2.56, or something like that. So that would be a good opportunity here. Just looking back on the 4 hour chart, because we know this white area is a pretty key level on the support side. These supports didn't really hold, but if you go to the daily, they hold a lot better. So it's looking pretty good. The 4 hour still has an hour till it's breaking the resistance there, but on the hour chart, we broke it and we held it as a nice level of support. It's a pretty valid level on the chart. Key level of resistance. I think we could make it a little bit wider, just like so. So it's covering a little bit more of the price action. But we definitely broke above it because this is the indication. This is the resistance right there within the recent price action. We broke of it with very, very strong bullish volume, which is great to see. And then we're getting a pullback with not much sell volume, also great to see. So it's looking like a pretty good setup for Dash, Atom as well. Atom, we got a little bit more waiting to do in my opinion, but Dash is a little bit closer to a possible entry. If we do get a little bit more bullish volume coming into the market, we didn't get a whole lot of sell volume, but what I would really like if this candle closes red, I'm not going to enter. But then if the next candle closes green, then I'll think about entering. Because right now it's showing me that there's a wicks to the top side. There's sellers pushing it down. There's a lack of sellers, which is nice to see, but it could continue. I'd like to see that next candle, the next hourly candle, close green. Then that gave me a lot of confirmation that bulls are now entering the market. We have a complete lack of sellers because we saw decreasing sell volume. And then if we see a significant bullish bar, like even up to here, or at least higher than the initial pullback, that'll show me that the supply and demand is potentially shifting, and then we're going to get a strong move in demand, in the demand zone. So that's the overall analysis for Dash. Atom, we finished. Just looking at the overall market right now, BTC really not doing much, not seeing a lot of buy volume, not seeing a lot of sell volume, just kind of staying right in the middle. And just quickly analyzing different markets here, or different pairs. I'm going to extend this link trend line out further because not a super dependable area, but we could really just pull it back all the way here if we wanted. That makes it a lot more dependable of an area. I'm just going to assess it to make sure it's good. Yeah, it looks fine. I'm happy with it. And then I think I will put a little projection on that zone. Oh, that was a really bad point on the mouse there. Give me one moment to put a projection at this zone here. Oops, I didn't click. All right. So, excuse me. That was the support zone, the ascending long-term support zone that is holding link up. So that's pretty good to see that we got some long-term supports, ascending supports especially if we're looking long. XRP is not doing much either. Link is not doing much either. Ethereum is holding the low. Because we just saw the 1 hour close, I'm kind of looking at the overall market to see what the next couple candles, or what the next candle is kind of starting out as for all of these alts. Link look like it go down. XRP holding well. XRP previous volume did not get that much volume. If we do see a little bit more buy volume come in, like it indicated a little lack of supply at the zone here because we see decreasing sell volume come in and increasing buy volume. So, okay, let's just do NEO and then finish off this analysis here. Because NEO, I don't trade this one often, but it's looking like a pretty, really good situation right now for us to kind of find an edge and find an opportunity in the market. So I guess this was the 15-minute charts, which I don't love. Sorry about my dog. He is a loud guy. Very, very lovely though. All right, so we just noticed a descending zone, very well respected. So if we are looking to enter long in anything here, this would definitely be the first level of take profit that we would be looking at for this trade. And kind of looking further, there's not a whole lot of opportunity, especially if our first take profit is going to be at like a zone of confluence, kind of if we're looking maybe kind of right here, key level of support resistance, and it kind of turns out to be a nice little confluence zone. So I think NEO, looking at it again, we got a nice zone of supply there, so I'm going to be a little bit more skeptical of entering long. But why did I want to go over this in the first place? Well, it's actually respecting many zones very, very well. So this is the 15-minute chart. It's not on the 1 hour where we normally like to enter, but I did see this nice, really, really good, well-respected zone. So we initially had a descending zone that respected the price very well. We didn't really get much of a breakout when we did eventually break this zone, which was right here. We got a double top, came back, and then pushed off. Kind of a little bit nosy, not great. I don't love using the 15-minute chart to have my entries. But anyways, After that move to upside, we started making a higher high, and then we started making higher lows, but then we started to halt the higher highs. So we are now coming from a descending trend line, which is this zone, to an ascending trend line, which is this zone. So it's a shift in trend, it's a shift line demand, right? Which is interesting because we had lower highs, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, and then you started making higher highs. So the shift started changing, right? So that's what we're looking for in a market structure shift in trend. But what we can see right here is we're not looking to enter right at the completion of the first high. We see it consolidate. You know, the market has to go down, and then it has to go sideways, and then it can go up. And this can be very, very quick or very, very long. It depends on every single asset, every single pair that you're trading, and you just got to assess how it is. So right now we're just in the consolidation phase, going sideways, and then once we make a structural higher high from the previous resistances, then we can look to potentially see a move towards the upside, continuing the bullish trend, seeing the higher high, and then we're looking to enter on the higher low, previous resistance equals new level of support, and then we're looking to enter on the previous or on the new level of support to then capture the next impulse move towards the upside. So that's the structure, that's the plan, and we got a little bit of time obviously before anything really comes out of it. So we're going to hold off on NEO, not really going to do anything, and then not really going to talk about anything else Matic. We're just still holding below that zone. We're not really looking to enter. We want to see that price break the zone before we look to enter. ZEC shows nothing super interesting for me. Let's just even take it down to the 4 hour because for me there's not a whole lot of interest on ZEC. We see a descending zone. We see a descending zone on a lot of pairs. VET, not really interesting. Again, we saw consolidation there. We saw a bump up, pull back, retest the previous resistance as a new level of support, and then saw the start of the markup phase, it looks like, where this is the phase of accumulation, where you saw a decent amount of buy volume, and then you saw a no supply signal right there, no supply candle, and then we saw a massive bullish move towards the upside after. There was a no demand there as well, which did push the price down a little bit. So we'll talk about that in the next video just for the premium members, and I hope you enjoy this. We're not going to talk about Tesla or anything. So that's the overall analysis for the market. We are looking pretty good for potential long, but we do have to remain cautious because of the major supplies, or not major, but the supply zone that we have for BTC with the descending zone and the horizontal zone. We got quite a bit of resistance at like 10.1 to 10.3 in my opinion. So we got to be careful of that, be mindful. We're still in the consolidation. We're still not really seeing a markup phase or like any higher highs and higher lows on the smaller time frames. So we can't expect like a strong move yet. We're still in the consolidation. We would like to see some level of a break above the 10.1, I think, before we kind of start to see the horizontal zone start to break. But for now, we're still making lower highs, we're still making higher lows, and we're still squeezing towards the apex. So I hope you got something out of this. I hope you learned something or found something that you could use within your trading, and hopefully give you some insights on how we personally view the market. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, leave a comment within the YouTube section or the Discord, and we'll be happy to answer. Thoughts on RLC cup and handle? You know what? I'm feeling generous today. Let's just look at RLC. I'm not going to go over it too long, but just a real quick overview because I do have some stuff I'd like to work on for the Performante students. Super quick on the daily. Yeah, good possible cup and handle. You got a resistance at 81 cents to, let's say 80 cents as the resistance. You see a pullback, you see a push, a pullback, push. So if you're able to actually hold above 82 cents on the daily, that'd be looking really good. And if you get a pullback at the 82 cents and the hold of the daily chart, that's really great to see. This obvious massive bullish candle does present a lot of opportunity for the upside if we do break this zone. But I think entering long before breaking this zone is a little bit worrying. But obviously, everyone has their own methods of trading. So we got a pullback. This is a nice consolidation, lower highs, lower lows. Lower highs, lower lows. We now made a higher high. If we're able to hold a higher low, maybe around the 70 cent range, then you could start to potentially see the price test these 80 cent ranges to break the high. So that was the overall thing for RLC. Hope you got something out of that. Colton, it was pretty quick, but it was a pretty good analysis. 80 cent range is a key zone. You are currently in the completion of the exhaustion phase, so completion of the pullback, and it looks like you are now entering the initiation of the bullish phase. So now the only thing is, are you able to break that 80-cent range? We do see a lot of volume coming in, and you see that really, really strong bullish candles kind of start that momentum to try to test and break that 80-cent range. We don't exactly know what's going to happen, but that is what I would be looking for, a break, and then you want to hopefully enter at the completion of the exhaustion after breaking the 80-cent range. So you're retesting 80-cent range as a previous resistance, as a new level of support. Once you've validated the new level of support around the 80-cent range, that would probably be a pretty high probability situation for you to enter long. So, yeah, that's the overall analysis, Colton. I hope you got something out of it. Thank you. Have a great day. Yeah, you as well. I hope you have a great Friday. End of the week. That was a quick week, man. Wow. It went by really fast, but not a whole lot of trades this week. That's okay. I'm not going to try to force trades or anything. Take it month by month, and hopefully next week presents us with a little bit better of an opportunity to capture some profits here. So hopefully you enjoyed watching, and until next time, happy trading.